Hello, everyone, and welcome to my new show, Out of Nowhere. Been one of those days. A good friend, I want to dedicate this show to a good friend of mine called Derek Savory, who's passed away this morning. I've only just got to know. I've known Derek since about 2014 when I first started doing radio on Blog Talk Radio all them years ago. And he'd been on my show then uh, 3 or 4 times. And then when I went to Beacon of Light Radio, Derek came on, nearly every year to tell a story about Rendlesham or about his own experiences. So it'd be sadly missed, Derek will. Or people out there today who've only just got to know about Derek, they'll be devastated. Such a genuine guy who took lots of parties around Rendlesham Forest at short notice. So, I'd love to dedicate this show to him. Well, I've got a special guest today. It's Tom Conwell. Tom's is a ufologist, a forensic pattern researcher, an author, a para-investigator, Navy, Honeywell High-Tech Electronics, and for Honeywell for 42 years. Can we please welcome Tom to the show? Hello there.
Hi, Bob. Great to be on. Thank you for having me, and I'm so sorry about your dear friend.
That's okay. I'll get through it. How did you get into the UFOs, Tom? How did it all start for you?
Well, I've always had an interest. My wife's sister, my aunt, uh, she used to take me on conventions, and the conventions were for the Astronomical Association, and it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot there, but I've always had an interest in the cosmos. So I guess life got in the way. I had got married, had 2 kids, and then as soon as I retired, I was looking for something to do. So I involved myself with the paranormal team. And with this particular paranormal team, they also wanted to extend out into the UFO field. And that's when I actually got interested in UFOs. So it has been a lot of fun for me. I had an opportunity to write down my thoughts on many different occasions. And as I was doing that, I was writing blogs on the team webpage. And as I realized what the quantity of blogs that I had happened to be, I was able to put together a book on just the blogs that I had written over the years. So I also got interested in doing a lot of public speaking. And so those communications got me interested in doing research on UFOs and where they were. I realized that I had put together so much various information on them that I almost had enough for a book. All I had to do was expand it a little bit, break it up into thirds, and as I was looking across the country, and I realized that I had so much information I could write 3 more books. So it's been quite an experience for me, and I really can't wait to see what this all brings for the future for me.
I can imagine so as well. The topic of UFOs with the government so secret.
Yeah, it's that's I've often wondered why they did that. And what I did was I also wrote about that in various times in my blogs. And the um, what I came to conclude is the reason for keeping things secret was it actually morphed over the years. Initially, they realized that these things that they were seeing in the air could do whatever they wanted to do around our ships and planes, and we could do nothing about them. So they thought initially, well, maybe we should keep this quiet and not try to tell everybody. And perhaps the best way to do that is to, well, just out and out lie to them. What they're seeing in the air doesn't exist. You're just misidentifying natural phenomenon, and they just went on and on from that. Well, after a little while, people started catching on, and that was about the 1980s that they started catching on and realized that something was really, really wrong with what the government was saying. So the government sort of switched gears and decided to look into uh, the whole aspect of um, where these things happen to be coming from, and that perhaps there's nothing really there for anyone to be looking at. In other words, they went real quickly into the natural phenomenon thing. And by then, they were able to come up with even more reasons within the natural phenomenon as to why people were seeing things in the sky. Well, that went on and on and on. And as a matter of fact, what they even did was they did um, a secondary study on um, on Area 51 and on Roswell. And this secondary study, they came to the conclusion that, well, it was a it was a top secret program that the U.S. had. Um, let's not really look into this anymore. It really doesn't make any sense uh, for people to be looking into it, so everyone can forget about it. Well, that worked for a couple of years. Um, what what did not work was the people who were firmly entrenched into knowing, because they've seen these things up close. They and perhaps some of their friends were taken up into the sky by them. They knew that this was just nonsense. But the government bought themselves another 15 or 20 years. By 2017, there started to be articles written in the New York Times about it, um, and they didn't hold back. They were pretty revealing. As a matter of fact, they got some U.S. Navy pilots to talk about it, and the Navy pilots were um, uh, they released some videos, and the videos were incontrovertible evidence. So we advance on from 2017 to 2022 or so, 2023, and now the government is starting to hold hearings on what's actually being seen in the sky, and they're interviewing the pilots that were seeing them, people who would know what they're looking at. So um, here we are in 2024 with the government starting to open actual studies on unidentified aerial phenomenon, and it's been very interesting. It's most likely what's happening is that the people who are denying UFOs are the same people that now have to come up with all the evidence of why they're not there, versus the UFO seer deciding, well, they're seeing the things, and let me prove it to you. So it's been a real interesting thing over the past 60 years, 70 years, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Really.
Yeah, there's the Pope knows a lot about extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I am absolutely certain that the Vatican and the astronomers in and around the Vatican have documentation that proves extraterrestrials are visiting the Earth. And as a matter of fact, I think what their information is going to prove is that not only are there people visiting the Earth from outside of our solar system, there are people that are beginning to show themselves from within our solar system that have been hiding out all along. It's like people from extra dimensions, and it's been quite interesting. I'm not sure where this is going to go. If the extraterrestrial question is going to override the extra dimensional question, but I think they're all going to break at the same time, and we're going to be left so confused, but interested.
Do you think they're amongst us now, around us all the time then?
Who, the extraterrestrials or the extra dimensionals?
The extraterrestrials, do you think that they walk amongst us now?
I see. Okay, you are breaking up a little bit. Yes, I believe that there are some civilizations that are excuse me, that look a lot like us, and that they can just beam into Earth or however they get here, and just walk around and try to experience life on the Earth. And I think it's been very interesting for them. There's some that don't look like us at all, and perhaps have great difficulty in blending in to our society, are also here, but they're watching us from afar. And by afar, I mean from underground, or from just outside of our atmosphere, or wherever they happen to be parked.
Tell us about your first book, They Are Here.
Oh, yeah, the books. Like I said, what I did with these is I started doing research, hoping to get enough information to be able to talk about, to just go on a speaking tour and talk to people about UFOs, what I found, where they are, and perhaps even reveal some interesting information about them. So what I did was I looked at a lot of different things, trying to trying to make sure that everyone had a full picture of what I thought that was that they were doing while on the planet and or around the planet. Not only did I look at just the UFOs and their sightings, I also looked at the reference to Native Americans and what kind of link that was. Whether they are here to look at our military and our weaponry, whether they are here because of our use of nuclear power. We are polluting the planet terribly. If another reason why they're sticking around is to see where this pollution is going to leave us. Is it going to leave us with an uninhabitable planet in 50 years? I think they're very interested in that. Let me also say, a good friend of mine mentioned life always attracts life. And I really think that's true because we populated the planet and created a lot of the signs of life up in our upper atmosphere. We also started sending out radio signals, and that was trackable because the radio signals leave the planet at the speed of light. So that was also trackable for the past 60 or 70 years. Are they here because of our DNA, whether it's theirs or ours? Do they need an assist with their own civilization? And they're going to do that by utilizing our DNA. And one of the other things that they are potentially utilizing is they're using our DNA mixed with their own DNA and creating hybrids. Now, are the hybrids going to be used to mix with people on the planet? Are they going to be used to change their own life? I'm not really sure where they're going with that one. I think we're going to have to wait for an answer for that. Water, are they wanting to grab our water? Or do they want to take our resources? Well, I don't think either of those two are true because they can find water and resources on just about any planet. Some planets are just nothing but water planets. So that's pretty interesting. Are they looking to take over the Earth? I don't think that's true either. They have their own planets and they have their own life, and they're not going to tinker with ours either. They're going to see where ours takes us, and perhaps if we ask a little bit later on, we'll be able to get them to help us. Are they here because they are going to guide us through ascension into fifth density, 5D environment? I think that's maybe the main reason why they're gonna that they're around, because planet-wide, I think we're going to change drastically, and that's going to happen coming up here, not next week, but in relatively near future. So that's what I started out to write about and talk about, and I was able to put that together within each of the states, along with sightings of that people have come up with that have been really, really interesting. Some of the more unusual sightings, the ones that were close up. I didn't pick out sightings of like lights in the sky because you really can't tell what that is, and a lot of times that can be misconstrued. I wanted to get where people were describing close-up sightings, where things got really, really interesting for the person citing the UFO, and in most cases they wrote about that extensively, and that's what I utilized in my book also. So that's what They Are Here, book 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the eastern U.S., 2 is the central U.S., and 3 is the western U.S. Now, I haven't written about any other countries because I wasn't aware that they had a published database that you could easily get into and just read up on the sightings. So I just stopped at the United States. Believe me, that gave me a whole lot of pages in 3 different books to write and to speak about. So that's what that's all about, Bob.
Okay. Alison's got a question for you. I'll just put it up. Hi, Tom. With you saying they are staying around, do you think they have always been here?
Ooh, okay. Good question, Allison. Yes, I do believe that they have been at least one or possibly 2 of the civilizations that are around us have been here for a very long time. And I believe that's because they were partly responsible for our growth. And by growth, I mean our ability to get smarter, to adapt, to utilize some of the things on the earth that would allow excuse me that would allow us sorry about that would allow us to grow.
It's all right.
So yes, they had can't believe this. Wow. Yes, some of the civilizations have been here for a very long time, and also some civilizations have joined in the viewing of our planet because of some of our own actions, such as lighting off nuclear weapons and perhaps needing some of our DNA, and the fact that we are close to moving into a 5th dimension, which I believe most of our civilization is going to be going toward. But that's the whole thing of that question. So
that's the chat room. Question for Tom. When the aliens have intervened by switching our nuclear weapons off, do you think they are protecting us as a species or protecting us as a product, like a farm? Many thanks.
Okay. Wow. Very good question, Steph. Our nuclear weapons caused some consternation initially and got the attention of an awful lot of other civilizations. Word got around that we actually nuked our own people, and I'm sure that bothered them a lot. Could you put that question back up again? Because I wanted to address the second half of that.
All right. I'll just try and find it again.
Okay.
I think it were about again. Right. I'll get Steph to put it back up again in a minute.
Okay. Oh yeah, the question related to, are they using us as a farm or something like that? No, I don't believe so.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I think that what they want is for us to succeed, to advance into the higher dimensions so that they could join with us. Right now, they're operating at a much higher frequency than us, and we don't mix well with them. So when we are able to do that, whenever that ascension occurs, we are going to realize that all of a sudden we're um, part of a nation. Well, nation might not be the right word. Part of a group of civilizations throughout the universe that we only dreamed about. I believe there's hundreds of civilizations that we are going to find out about in the next, well, 10 to 20 years at least.
Right. Alice has got another question. Do you think we are being divided?
I'm not sure what that means. If they're if that's like a political question, um, or broken up by countries or whatever. I'm not sure where the divided portion comes in. But let me just throw this out: when ascension occurs, some of our population is going to jump into the fifth dimension and meet up with the groups of people from out in the universe. Other parts of our own Earth are not going to jump into that dimension and may take another 20, 30, 40, 50 years before they get there. That's the only division that I can see that may affect us initially. It's going to be a rather large division of people. Part of our group is going to meld with
I think what you mean,
extraterrestrials,
Alice,
and
just
the other
said,
part is not.
what you mean divided? What you mean by spiritually?
I'm sorry, Bob. What was your question?
That's what you mean.
Spiritually
When we're on
divided.
about divided, it means spiritually. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, again, that relates to the fact that some of us will ascend and some will not. Those who ascend are going to be extremely spiritual, and the people that don't will be far less spiritual, but they will eventually catch up. So that answers Allison's question, I believe.
Okay. What's your theory on CE5?
Oh, that is a really good question. I love that. In answering that question, I'm also going to tell you a little story. People have realized that the visitors from elsewhere are a very spiritual people. They're also a very intellectual and also are able to communicate mentally. So when you get a bunch of people together and do a meditation and send your thoughts up into the sky, this is a CE5, and they are looking to draw ships in so that they can show the group of people that are meditating that they really do exist. This works quite well. I haven't seen any not work. Having said that, I was wondering how I was going to find a CE5 group so that I could be part of them. And I sent out a lot of feelers on the web, wondering if anybody had CE5 things that I could travel to. And I almost had given up by that point. I couldn't find anything locally, and couldn't find anything that was closer than about a 3-hour drive from me. So I went to bed thinking about it. And how am I going to solve this problem? So one of the things that had been happening to me is that I have been visited at night, not because they are taking me and planting me with things. That's not happening. But what I've felt like is that they have grabbed my consciousness and told me things. Well, I come to realize that when they go to tell me something, one of the things that I notice is that the following morning, right when I wake up, I'm going to have a flood of thoughts. And that's when I will react to what apparently I have been told the night before. Very strange. It took me years to realize that this was happening. Well, I went to bed one night thinking of CE5. How am I going to join a CE5 group? And the first thing I thought about when I woke up in the morning was kind of a voice in my head that said, for CE5, groups not needed, ask. Just those 4 words, groups not needed, ask. When I thought about that, what does that mean? Well, I came to think that what they were trying to tell me to do is all I have to do is ask. All I have to do is ask them. So that's when I started asking them, and I had 3 very profound sightings in the weeks after that particular event. So as far as everyone is concerned, you don't have to kill yourself to go to a CE5 group. You can send your thoughts up into the universe, into the upper atmosphere, whatever, however you want to think about it, and ask for them to show themselves to you, and that you're ready to communicate.
Oh, right. There's another question from Steph. Do you believe that aliens at some point in time in the past spliced their DNA with ours? And do you think this is why they come to visit us?
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Steph. I believe that is true. The one civilization that has been checking on us for thousands of years, I believe that they were involved in that early on. Lately, I don't believe they're doing any of that. But early on, they absolutely helped us do that. And they helped us grow. And they helped us also learn how to stay alive on this planet. One of the things that they did is after some of the natural disasters that befell our planet, such as when they had an ice age, or when a comet struck the planet and killed most of the life. They were there to help what was left and to help us grow. And they taught us how to do that. And they were involved with our lives early on. And um, I believe that they're still checking on us and making sure that we are still advancing in the method that they want us to advance. And that is, um, they are helping us along with our um, with our psychic abilities, with our spiritualism. Yeah, they've been involved with everything from the very beginning, but lately they aren't doing much splicing. I think they're just waking us up to some of these things that are going on. Thanks for the question, Steph. That was really good.
Thank you for that. Yeah, another one from Alison. Tom, do you think it's all connected with spirit and alien wise?
It's all connected, spirit and okay. I have a theory about a part of that. Um, Aliens, I believe, utilize a different dimension in order to travel their huge distances. That's one of the things that they do. I think they jump into a different dimension where distance and time doesn't mean anything, and then they can jump out somewhere else, perhaps across the galaxy, and pop out in our planet, and that's how they come to visit. Now, also at the same time, people that die are in a similar, not exactly the same, but a similar dimension. And as the aliens enter and pop out, I believe that they're creating, um, uh, well, it's hard to say interruptions, but it's almost like as they come in and pop out where we are, they're creating a wake in this dimensional flow. And this is why lately that spirits are popping out and making themselves known to many of us here on Earth. Um, they are connected, sort of. They are related in that they're in a similar dimension, that the aliens are creating wakes and causing spirits to interface with us humans. That's a good question, Allison.
No, well, that is. And I think there's another one from Steph. Question for Tom. Do you think that aliens are wary of our nuclear weapons because they can actually affect our dimensions within the fabric of space and time?
Ooh, okay. Um, they're weary of our nuclear weapons because they can affect other dimensions. They probably can. I don't know whether they affect other dimensions, but I would imagine that there's something going on. Once a nuclear weapon is detonated, it it creates an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, and I would not be surprised if this electromagnetic pulse were responsible for a lot of things that we are yet to understand. And one of those things being affecting the other dimensions, and perhaps even um, sending signals out into the galaxy that are detectable by other civilizations. None of those things are good, and I believe that the fact that we're utilizing nuclear weapons, not so much nuclear power, but nuclear weapons, is a problem for many of the races.
Right. Thank you for that.
Sure.
If you see a ghost, can you see aliens then?
If you hear ghosts, can you see aliens?
No, if you see a ghost, can you see aliens?
Okay. Are you asking me, are aliens ghosts?
No, if you see ghosts, can you see aliens as well?
Okay. You see aliens as well. I would say no. Um, the the ghosts are generally related to us in a lot of ways and maintain some of their frequencies with us even after they've died, and the aliens have nothing to do with our frequencies. So if you happen to see a ghost, can you see aliens? I would say no. The aliens will only allow themselves to be seen when they want to be seen. The ghosts, I'm not so certain that they have that selection.
Another thing I was going to ask you about earthquakes. Do a lot of alien craft come round earthquakes, or do they make earthquakes?
Okay. Wow. It's a multifaceted question there. They come around earthquakes. I thought that for the longest time. So I set out to try to prove it. And what I did was I put a map together with all kinds of sightings around the United States of where they were, and utilized that along with where the larger earthquakes were occurring, and tried to draw a correlation between the earthquakes where they were and the fact that, or possibly the fact that UFOs were being attracted to them. I could not find a correlation between UFOs and where larger earthquakes are occurring. There's also something to be said there for earthquake lights. Earthquake lights are not UFOs. Earthquake lights are large amounts of energy discharged from the planet, usually just prior to an earthquake. And what it does is it will either give a an explosion of gas up into the atmosphere that will usually during the sunset, it will show up as a glimmering lights in the sky. And some people have come to think that that really meant they are UFOs in the sky. It's not. Earthquake lights are just a natural thing that is released just prior to an earthquake, and sometimes even after. And however, UFOs are not attracted to earthquakes, at least with all the research I've done.
And that's in book 4.
Yeah, that's my fourth book, Earthquakes and UFOs. I talked about that. That's this book,
Right.
Earthquakes and UFOs. Okay, so there we go.
Earthquakes and UFOs, yeah.
Okay, so that's a kind of a fun.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Kind of a fun research that I did there. I tried to make correlations between all of the UFO sighting maps and all of the other maps around that I could find, from missing persons to all kinds of every single map that I could find. Stuff in the ground, water, rivers. There's just I looked at everything, and then there was also another aspect of that question that you asked. What was it? The last part. Um, I can't recall the
About
second
earthquakes.
part.
It'll come back to me in a minute.
Because
Do you think a lot of the alien bases are underwater?
you're gonna have to ask that question again. I didn't understand.
Do you think a lot of alien bases are underwater
Oh,
in
okay.
the seas?
Okay, I think that there may be several bases underwater. I don't believe there's a whole lot of them, and the reason is um, um, uh, when these ships that are flying around um, create speeds that are unheard of by any ships that we have. Uh, when you create that kind of energy and burn that kind of energy, you create heat. And when you create heat, you have to dissipate the heat. You can't dissipate it by going really fast because it takes power to move really fast, and that's going to create more heat. So, what these ships will do very frequently, and this is my own theory, what these ships will do very frequently is plop themselves down into the water, dissipate the heat, and then come up at a later time when they're nice and cool and they're able to continue whatever task they were doing. So now, as far as ships go, they will travel sometimes at just enormous speeds, and basically could get around the Earth in the same speed as we have our satellites going around the Earth, and they can do that within our atmosphere. So they can fly unbelievable speeds. So there's no real need to have a large amount of bases. Having said that, do I think there's bases around? I absolutely do. I believe there's a base on the west coast of the United States, off of California. And I believe there's also one out in the mid Atlantic, halfway between Britain and the United States. And there may also be one over in the Indian Ocean. There's not a need for much more because, like I said, these ships can fly at enormous speeds, and they don't have to have a base that they can drop into continuously. They can go around the Earth, like I said, in probably 45 minutes.
Do you think we will ever have disclosure?
Oh, oh boy, oh boy. I think what will happen as far as disclosure goes is that the extraterrestrial races and maybe the extra-dimensional races will also be involved in our ascension. And when we ascend to a different dimension, then we're going to be able to see absolutely everything, and everything will be revealed to us. And it won't be because the government wants to reveal it. It will be because we can see things on our own at that point. So it's coming along with a 5-dimensional ascension, but certainly the government is not going to be involved in it. That's just my opinion.
Very good. Yeah. Good answer that was. Yeah, I like that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, are you writing another book?
Yeah, I'm in discussion now to try to put something together about ascension and perhaps God and how they all tie in. But I haven't really decided yet and where I'm going with it. But one of the things that they talked to me about late at night was the spiritual end, and they tried to get me to realize that God was infinite and means different things to different people, and is not really one entity who's residing in some particular place on some star system. Yeah, it's just God is everywhere, and they tried to get that through to me, and um, I'm sure that's going to pop up in my next book somewhere.
Do you think it been here before and living on Earth a long time ago, and then went away when we had the Great Flood?
Oh, so I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking that if people were taken off of the planet during the Great Flood to protect them?
Well, I'll just wait a minute. Steph's just got another question. We'll get Steph in before
Okay.
we close down. Did anyone watch 411 Files last night on Blaze? There was an whole section about people that are just dropped out of UFOs from a height. Some of the bodies had injuries to collaborate this. That was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I have not heard that as far as UFOs go. Everything that I have heard or uh, that um, they've tried to tell me about is that they're here for us. They're not here to hurt anybody, and that I'm not sure what that was referring to. Um, but if it was referring to anything, I would have thought perhaps that was a statement made by the government to try to create fear. I hope not, but that's sure what it sounds like because the UFOs are not here to create fear. Good one, Steph.
Are you trying to say they protect us then from things what might crash onto us?
Yes, yes, they are. Yes, they are. They want nothing but the best for us. Now, I'm also
What
not. I'm also not going to
do they
say.
want to come and live?
I'm sorry. Could you say that again, Bob?
I was just going to say, I forgot what we're going to tell you then. um, they want to protect us. They want to protect the earth from whatever.
They absolutely do because they know that we're going to ascend and be part of their League of Nations. So they're not here to eat us. They're not here
And they want to
to take us away and kill us, or to put Zork weapons in the hands of everybody so that we kill ourselves and they can take over the planet. None of that's true.
they want amongst us then.
Yes, they do, and they're looking out for our best interests because we will ascend to their level in the future, and they're looking to welcome us as part of their group of nations.
What's this one? I think Alex is just asking a question. Tom, are you talking about individual alien?
I think that question may have been relating to um, what people are telling me at night, and I could very well be speaking to one individual alien, or I could be speaking to people different every night. I really don't know. Um, um, but I believe as an entire race of beings, they have nothing but good thoughts and good feelings for our planet and want to protect us.
Going to say at the moment they must look at our planet and think all they're wanting to do is kill each other.
Yep, I'm absolutely certain of that. Um, but I'm sure that this has happened on other planets before, and they're just going to wait us out until we're ready. And when we're ready, then they'll announce their presence to us, and see what happens from there.
So what you're saying is they will show up before the government tell us anything.
That's my opinion. And again, that's just an opinion, but I believe that's how it's going to come down.
Yeah,
There's a reason for
that
that.
as well. You know,
Yeah, there's
telling
there's a
everybody
reason for that, Bob.
there is a reason.
Yeah, if the government says that, oh yeah, we've been in contact with them for 50 years or 75 years or whatever else, and they're about to give us some gifts that are going to make our lives a whole lot better, such as medical advancements or free energy or something along those lines. Um, if you have a group of people who are going
Yeah,
to say that you should have told us before, it would have made my life so much better. Um, that is going to be a problem for the government. So if they say anything, they're going to have to say, hey, look what we just discovered. They just showed up on our doorstep. We know nothing about them. And here they are. They introduced themselves as Bob and Joe, and they're going to give us some gifts. That's how they're going to have to do it if they're the ones that are going to tell us. Because can you imagine what would happen if they found out that the government said, we don't want your medical advancements, and you personally just had um, uh, a tragedy where, again, where a close friend died and you could have saved their life? How do you think you'd feel at
we
that
could have
moment
saved.
if you knew that they were holding back? Um, boy, oh boy, it wouldn't be good.
It would. I think I'll give the last question to Steph.
Okay.
Just got one more. So, do you think aliens have to adhere to our prime directive?
Okay. Um, eh, they probably do have a prime directive. I don't know what they have, but it would make sense that they would allow every civilization to do what they're going to do on their own, and not just pop in and try to make this civilization your own. It would be too tempting for civilizations out there to make every civilization in their own likeness, and make it simple for them to be part of their own civilization instead of every other. So what they do is they leave us alone and realize that we are totally different, and we'll figure out eventually how to interact with them. But prime directive, probably.
Thank you for that. Well, we're
Okay.
just about right, Tom. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you to Steph, Alison, Diane, everybody in the chat room, Joanne, Star, James. There's loads of people been in the chat room for all the questions for Tom. They've been very interesting. Great subject tonight, talking about aliens and all that. Yeah, so thank you, Tom, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. And Alison just said, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Bob, for a great show. Great
Okay.
show, Bob, and a brilliant guest from Steph.
Okay. If anybody wants
So
to get in
thank you
touch with
again.
me, okay.
Thank
My
you to everybody
Facebook
in the chat
address
room.
is
Yeah, where
my
can they
Facebook
find you?
address, Bob, is tom.conwell.3.
Right. And you're on
Okay.
Facebook, aren't you?
Yes. Oh, yes, indeed.
Where can they, and where can
Your books are available on Amazon.
Okay. And the books are all available on Amazon. They're sold in both the United States and the UK. And especially my latest book, The Night Visitants. That's a story of my contact with extraterrestrials, or ever the heck is talking to me at night.
Okay. So thank you again.
Okay.
Alison just said a great picture behind you, Tom, of that alien
Oh
on the
yeah,
wall.
yeah, it is. That's in my living room.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So thank you again. My guest on Friday, the 29th, is Ben Moss. He's a
Ooh.
UFO researcher, investigator, author of Not of This World, the Sorenko UFO landings with humanoids. That's Ben Moss on Friday, the 9th of March.
Okay. Say hi
8
to
o'clock
Ben for me.
Eastern and 7 o'clock in the UK. I will do. Thank you
Yeah.
again. Good night from the UK.
Okay.
You have
Okay.
a lovely week, rest of your day as well.
You too, Bob. Thanks for having
Take
me.
care.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.